Hey everyone, I've lived in 3 different homes that had garages over the decades, and on every one of them, we've got a good windy day today. Terrific. On every single one of them, I have not been happy with the garage door weather strip on the sides and the top. They have all had that standard vinyl garbage that it doesn't take long at all and it starts to harden, and whenever the wind blows, the doors just rattle like crazy. I can see daylight from the inside looking out, and I can feel the cold air just blowing right around all the edges of the door like I had opened the door. I kept thinking someone has got to make a better system, and I finally found it. They are brush seals. All of this is, if you picture a hair comb with a lot of individual bristles that go in their track. I'm going to tell you about this in the details at the end of this video, that stripe. But I thought for sure I would not like seeing the black, but my weather strip that I installed before I did this was black. I'm looking at it as I got used to it, and it does not bother me at all from a distance. No one ever even sees it. And I also thought, well, I'm going to have to paint the retainers white to match the frame, and I'm not doing that either. This thing works amazing. You can see it snugs the door. Let me show you how it opens. And it just gently presses on the door. And that's it, all the way up. Mine are terribly distorted, and that's my fault because of how I wanted to mount them. And I'll tell you more about that later. But it just gently conforms to the door's surface. And again, if I close this, you can see how it conforms. And then as it goes down, it just gently allow all those individual fingers push on the door and fill in the cracks. They are amazing. I'm gonna go inside and do the rest from here. We've got a pretty windy day today. We got some 24-mile-an-hour gusts. I'm hoping you can get a big one and hear them from here. On the inside, you can just barely see all those fingers. And again, I do have some play on the door, so I'm not worried about me damaging the rollers because of the way I did it. We turn the light out. Let's see if I can turn the light off. There's no daylight coming through this thing. It's amazing. We've had a really cold day and a really windy day, and I could not feel any wind blowing in here. These doors no longer rattle. I have absolutely no daylight coming through these edges anymore. When it's really cold and really windy, and if I put my hand right next to it, I can feel the faintest amount of temperature difference from in here to here, the very faintest amount of cool air. But again, this is just a bristle, but it is working amazingly better than the old doors. I showed you on the outside that I had painted the frame of the door. The old the old weather stripping, the old standard vinyl, had completely worn the paint away in that area. And I knew I'd be looking at that, so I just scuffed it up. I used self-etching primer and then a bunch of coats of flat enamel to match it the best that I could. Doesn't look great, but again, I got used to it. I did not want to have to paint the whole door. These are the retainers that come with it, well, that you purchase. They make them narrower, they make them thicker. I think this is 1.25 inches. They make a 2-inch, they make a 3-inch. And then here is the brush seal that goes in it, and they slide in place, and that's what they look like. They also make these retainers now that mount in a 45-degree angle. So it's not pressing as hard on the door. It's a more gentle. I did not want that because, and here's the particulars for me. My main goal was to keep the door from moving when we got blasts of air. I wanted to keep the cold air out and the inside air in. So when I installed my brush seals, I got the shortest ones I could, which are 1 inch. I bought the smallest retainer they sold, which was either inch or inch and a quarter. And what I did is I got blocks of wood that were the right size for me, and I jammed them from the outside, and I even used wedges all the way up and down. I wedged the door so it was fully compressed. So I am fully pressing the rollers into the track. And then when I had that in position, then I put the brush seal against the door, and even then I pressed even a little more firmly, and then I screwed them in place. Like I said, I want this whole seal forcing that door all the way back so it doesn't have a whole lot of movement left. And what that does for me is when the gust of wind comes, and normally the rollers have a lot of slack in them, the rollers would let the door flap like crazy and let them rattle and let all the cold air in. So again, I put wedges in mine to push that door as far back as I could. And then I put the brushes up and put them in place. And that is why they look horrible. They don't look nice and neat. I do have some sections that look pretty good, but what they will tell you to do in their video is basically just hold it in place, screw it in. I knew that wouldn't work for me, because if I just did that with the way the door free hung, every time it blew, I'd get a ton of movement. And now I have it pressed perfectly to where that tiny bit of movement, that stays sealed. And again, there's my white stripe where this was all bare aluminum, because the old Weatherstrip was way out to here and all the paint was worn away. So I just taped it off, primed it, painted. I am happy with that. I mentioned the 45-degree angle that they make now. So the retainer would be flat, but the bristle would be here. Again, I didn't want that because I wanted as much force as I could get pushing on that. The top was a little trickier, but it worked out well. If I had to do this again, I might buy that top retainer only with the 45-degree angle, because as the door comes down, I think that would even seal it even better. Other things for you to think about before you install these things: replace your bottom weather strip. I've done a bunch of these, and again, when I do them on the ends, you leave it 6 inches longer than the end of the door. I fold it back up and tuck it all in, about, well, maybe 4 inches, and tuck it back in, and that way it doesn't come back out. It'll stay there. And I believe that's about it. Again, I will put the company name in the description. These are awesome. I made them ugly. They would look good if I hadn't smashed them against the wall, but they are doing exactly what I want them to do. They keep the doors from rattling. They keep them from moving. I no longer get any wicked air infiltration when the wind blows. I don't get the rattling doors. And I also had a concern. I thought because of how forceful I was pushing on the door with the brush seal, I thought there might be an issue with the garage door opener being strained, but I disconnected the opener from the track, moved it by hand, and there's no extra resistance at all. It is amazing how well they work. They're fantastic. I hope this helps you. That's the whole purpose of all my videos, is to just figure out, when I figure something out, I like to pass it on to other people. So hopefully it helps them. If you click the like button or leave a comment for me, that helps push the video up. So when people do windy garage doors, this video will pop up, and hopefully it can help them also. Sorry for my shivering. It's a bit cool and windy out here today, so it's been a good day to show you how this doesn't make any noise. Thanks for watching. God bless.